Should I leave my RV inverter on all the time? If you're always out and about like me, then you'd probably agree that RVing is one of the best ways to go. We're about to go on another trip and I've realized how convenient it is to have all the things we need right inside our RV. When it's too cold, we can easily use the heater. When it's too hot, the air conditioner is ready. We have our fridge full of everything we need for the trip. The microwave is there anytime we need it. The kids can even watch TV to keep them from getting bored. But have you ever wondered how we get the power to use all those? Did you just say inverter? Yes, inverters are heaven sent for happy campers like us. Does my RV have an inverter? Okay, so I checked and found that most RVs have inverters. This means that they run on dual electrical systems, AC and DC. AC, alternating current, systems are very much like what we can find in traditional homes and run almost anything. DC, direct current, on the other hand, works just like automobiles. They function mostly on batteries, and will no longer run when completely discharged. If your RV works on these two electrical systems like mine, then you can confirm you have an inverter. If it only works on batteries, then you only have a converter. How fast will a power inverter drain my RV battery? Batteries are designed to produce a substantial amount of power for a short period and should not be drained more than a certain percentage of its total capacity. Given this, instead of asking myself how fast the inverter will drain my battery, I think it's more important to ask how long do I want the battery to last. By calculating how long you want your battery to run, you're able to estimate the amount of time an appliance should operate. This way, you reduce the chances of your batteries dying early. More practical, don't you think? Of course, you would have to consider your inverter type and size. If you have more than one battery, you'd have higher capacity, too. In other words, there are a number of variables and everyone's setup and power usage is different. How long will an inverter battery last? Same as above, it's important to know the size of the battery bank and how much load is to be supported by the inverter. Again, the better question should be how long you want, or need, to have power before you recharge? Once you know what you need your battery/inverter setup to produce, you can use calculations to help you determine your load. The general formula is volts x amps equals watts or watts, volts equals amps. In this formula, the capacity of the battery is expressed by amp hour, capacity or how many amps for how many hours a battery will last. If you are using a 12 volts inverter, then 100 watts of the inverter load requires as much as 10 DC amps from the battery. On the other hand, for a 24 volts inverter, 200 watts of the load requires approximately 10 DC amps. If you want an estimation of the load on your system, you can check each appliance and add up the total watts and amps you need. How big of an inverter can my RV handle? If we are living totally off the grid, then we would probably need a good-sized inverter. But since we are just off for a few days, we won't need that much. Let's go back to the general formula. Volts x amps equals watts or watts, volts equals amps. Using that formula, I have a general idea of how much power we need, and I usually double it just to allow continuous use of the fridge and/or air conditioner. For example, I checked on what we need as basics and I found the following estimation. Microwave, approximately 500 watts. Fridge, approximately 1000 watts. Air conditioner, Approximately 2,300 watts, 1,700 watts to start it up and a continuous 600 watts to keep it running. That's a total of 3,800 watts. Which basically means I'll need 3,800 times 2 equals 7,600 watts. Of course, my advice is to use the load sparingly because we'll never know what might happen on the road. Does an inverter draw power when not in use? When an inverter is left turned on but not in use, it will usually draw around 10 watts plus the extra watts the inverter needs to run. This is very minimal and varies from one inverter to another. The specs should be able to tell you exact numbers. The biggest reason you'll want to leave your inverter on all the time is so that you have power when you need it. Since you will be on the road, always estimate and prepare a little bit more than what you need. And when in doubt, don't overuse your load.